slide guitar music, hopefully. It's coming out live at 5. IE Newswire on the Evil FB Network and Rumble. Check us out, subscribe. Type in IE Newswire on Rumble. Man, what a few days it's been. Hopefully we're back on the deal. Let me check this. Just see if I'm coming on with any audio. Yes, it actually looks like the audio is working on Facebook. Wow. Lots of stuff to go on. There was a big fire down at Webster and Markham, I think, down in Paris. Fred Banuelos got that. We'll have a little bit of that. We'll have some more of the audio and pictures of Sheriff Chad and he wants a felon in the White House, and I wholeheartedly agree with him on that. The longest living, well, he was up until today, the longest living winner of the Indianapolis 500, Parnelli Jones, passed away today in a release by his son, P.J. Jones. Said that today he battled a long illness with Parkinson's. So I believe that moves Anthony Joseph Foyt Jr. up to the oldest living Indy 500 winner, walking, I'll get it out, on the top side of the grass. Fauci should be in jail. He was testifying in court. Hopefully we'll have Dr. Kelly Victory on at the bottom of the hour of that, when she usually does on a Monday, but we had technical problems. Hopefully we had it out. Bill Asaley calls out the pedophile or supporting pedophile, whatever the Plato or whatever the hell her name is, on that. Bill Malhusian on Biden's latest border stuff and much, much, much more. Oh, man. We'll see. Getting a little bit. There it is. There was a fire, I think it was on Webster and Markham, out in the city of Paris. Fred Banuelos caught some wind of it. As you see, he's shooting it from his car. That looked like a pretty nasty looking fire out there. I don't know what it all contained, but he was rolling by there last night, so that was a pretty horrific scene. We're seeing how a little bit of the video goes. Most of the rest of the day, just for your information, I haven't got everything, probably about 60% from where it was or where it should be on that. So this is probably the only live shot video. We'll have some pictures to go with the videos or stuff we're going on today, but that was a absolutely fantastic looking fire, devastating looking fire, I guess I should say, there on that. We're looking especially in California, but that cancer spreading across the other 57 states, as Obama has said. It absolutely 100% goes just absolutely haywire. But as we see, and we're going to run an interview by John Cobalt from KFI. He had Dominic Choi, he's the interim police chief of the city of Los Angeles, where we know property crime is 1,000% out of control. Here's the first cut we're going to have on the audio of that. Let's see if we can get it rolling here. See if we can get the big screen. Here's John Cobalt asking the first, pertinent question that everybody wants to know. Here we go.
Right, because they can't sleep and it scares the family. See, screaming in the middle of the night. If they go outside and they see a guy injecting drugs in front of the kids on the way to school, throwing needles on the ground. I think most people think defecating and urinating in public used to be a quality of life crime. Again, you're not being sent to state prison for a year, but it's something that should be addressed by the police immediately. Why is it not?
I'm going to give away this incredible $4,000. Wait, no, not this one. This.
Well, I think the issue is that officers will respond to those calls for service. Absolutely. They're not going to not respond. But when they get there, so oftentimes these individuals, when they're doing, for example, screaming in the middle of the night, that's due to a mental illness. We're trying to get services and resources out there to help that person. But
it's been 7 years, and my listeners say, and my friends say, no, they don't come. They don't come, and they're burned out on getting these calls. It's the same calls all night, every day, and the police have decided to stand down. As a practice, maybe that's not what you're instructing them to do, but as a practice, they're not showing up anymore.
So I disagree. If a radio call comes out, our officers will respond. Now, if the response is longer, that's a totally separate issue, such as a staffing issue. When our non-emergency calls, the response times have gone up because of our staffing. Our emergency calls, meaning crimes in progress, violent crimes in progress, or even property crimes like burglaries or retail theft, those calls we absolutely respond to in an emergency manner in under 7 minutes.
For burglaries?
For burglaries in progress.
Again, in progress. Okay. Yes. Because I hear plenty from people who say they call after the burglary, yes, and you get told. In fact, I think that happened to my wife. I think she had something stolen from her car, and it was like, well, go to the website and fill out a form.
So that would be considered a non-emergency call or report call, which is our non-coded, if you will, calls. And I'm just as I said a moment ago, those calls are taking longer to get to.
Mm. Well, doesn't that give
longer to get to? We all know they're never gotten to, or you might, at best, in most cases. Probably a little better in Riverside, San Bernardino County, but in LA, you're not. If you get a phone call back from somebody in the office, you're doing real good. I mean, extremely well. But you hear how they're going to skew the statistics. And they're going to make it seem like to you that the people are delusional when you're seeing the property crime and all this stuff is shooting through the roof. We all know it. Most people don't. Even if your house gets broken into, or like Cobalt said, his wife's car got broken into. You don't even report it. It's a waste of your time. It's a waste of the police officer's time or deputy sheriffs because they're not going to do anything about it. They know. They have given up. Here's more from the Dominic Choi, police chief of Los Angeles, on KFI with John Cobalt. Here we go.
When the commercial break started, there's a lot of people really, really angry. And you said, is it because of social media and television, or is that what makes them angry? Because your data says that what? I don't want to mischaracterize it. What does your data say?
My comments really were, is it because really what I meant is it because people are now intimately aware of what crime's occurring in their neighborhoods, in the city, because of social media, because of the media that's covering it? Or is it because they have truly been a victim or experienced crime? So overall, our data, which we track very closely, our data shows year-to-date 2024, our overall Part 1 crimes, how we track it, are actually down year
And
over year.
part one is what?
Part 1 crime includes homicides, rapes, robberies, aggravated assaults, burglaries, motor vehicle thefts, larceny, violent and property crime, broken up into various categories. That's what's tracked. So overall, that's down year over year, about 3.2%. And our violent crime is up slightly, but our property crime is down significantly.
But there's not a person in the world that notices if crime is up or down 3%.
So, and I believe Cobalt he was trying to argue the point of, oh, well, property crime and that. They're putting break-ins and stuff like that, which people don't report. And they're skewing the statistics. Again, it's not that these areas, the crime is not going up on violent crime and overall crime. Even, I'd like to know where Choi's statistics are coming from, because everywhere I've seen, violent crime is going up, even amongst the statistics, because it's harder to fudge the numbers. If property crimes are up slightly, that means they're up explodingly when you figure that people are not reporting 100% of the crimes. I even beg to differ. I wonder how many, when people call in, like Cobalt said, his wife's car got broken into, they said, well, call and file a report, or call in. Well, she probably didn't. So that's not going to be in the statistics that these cats are stating. And even if she did call in, does it even get filed? Probably does more so in Riverside or San Bernardino County, but I bet you in Los Angeles and San Francisco and Sacramento County, that stuff goes right in the round file. Who's going to prove that? If somebody complains or say, oh, well, we forgot or this or that or that or that, how many people are going to follow up on it? They're just done with it. It's really, in a lot of ways, distressing. Tom Buckley wrote in the California Globe, we've had him on the show, he's former mayor of Lake Elsinore, Choi countered with the quality of life issues that some people may perceive as criminal, but not adding to the department takes a different approach to the issue. We're trying to get services out there. They don't consider these things crimes. They don't consider the vagrant or the thief that walks into the store and walks out without paying for it. They don't consider that a crime. They don't consider it a crime that they are exposing themselves, peeing and pooping in front of, out in public, in front of your house, in front of your businesses, having sex, doing drugs, whatever. That's not considered a crime. This is how far we've deteriorated as a society. And believe me, it's not going good. The rest of the interview, it's on YouTube. As I saw, that was the clips we played, or you saw the pictures of it. You go to KFI on YouTube, you see it's about 20 minutes. And Troy just stepped all over himself. And I get it. Cobalt probably didn't want to hammer him too hard, so he'll come back. Not saying wouldn't have done a little bit more aggressive on that, but hey, who knows? Sometimes you do, you do play the softball stuff, or don't try to hit them as hard. But you're delusional because you don't want a vagrant pulling down their pants and crapping in the middle of the street, or exposing themselves, urinating, having sex, doing drugs, dropping needles, making your quality of life S. Just like the poop they're dropping out of their rear end in the middle of the sidewalk. I did that walking to the county, walking over the bridge over there in Lemon. Come down the bridge and there's feces just run all over the steps. She couldn't hardly walk around it. Some of the stuff is just absolutely stinking nuts. Wanted to get to the clip of that of Sheriff Chad because I just love this part. Think it's time we put a felon in the White House. Here is KTLA 5 report. It's a short report, but here we go.
His endorsement for president.
I think it's time we put a felon in the White House. Trump 2024, baby. Let's save this country and make America great again.
Riverside County Sheriff Chad Bianco posted a 2.5-minute Instagram video over the weekend criticizing state lawmakers and other leaders for being too soft on crime. He singled out California Governor Gavin Newsom, fueling speculation that the sheriff plans to replace him with his own run for governor in 2026. Bianco joked that his support for Trump, a convicted felon, means he is, quote, changing teams.
I don't know what she's referring to that he's changing teams. I think, at least has been my understanding, Sheriff Chad has always been a Trump supporter on that. I think that was a satire of the whole video that he put out of how, you know, California, he was using the example of California and the nation and his fellow colleague, Police Chief Choi of LA, are like, okay, we're letting the felons out. We're letting crime just run rampant. We're going to do that. Well, then let's put a felon in the White House. Let's turn it around. He's exactly right. It's a very simple question. How was your life from 17 to 20 versus 21 to present? The vast overwhelming majority of people are going to say, we like that 17 to 20 area. Viva la Trump. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Man, it's really, 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 it's incredible that the polls don't say Trump's leading by Hugo Chavez, 147%. Man, this one is ridiculous. This Pilar Chavago, she's protecting pedophiles. What is it? Assembly Bill 2641. Assailly's been against it. Legislative procedures to protect pedophiles. Bill Assailly wrote on Tuesday, documented pedophile protectioner Pilar Chavago published an editorial attacking me for holding the Assembly Democrats accountable for their heinous public safety policies that protect illegal immigrants convicted of sex crimes against minors. Her piece was filled with all the vitriolic rhetoric and misinformation a typical Democrat supermajority in our state produce. Saley's exactly right. They tried shutting him up. That's the one that they tried shutting him up on. He forced a floor vote on them to vote against it, which he should have. No ridiculous way they should have been screwing around with this stuff. This is like a no-brainer. And they're defending this. And then Troy gets on there and saying, well, you know, I guess sex crimes against kids is not considered a crime. They need help. Vaya caramba. Bill Malusian, the border guy, was from Fox 11, now Fox National, had this to say with them pouring across the border here. see if it will play.
We're out here witnessing an enormous mass illegal crossing right where we're standing here in San Diego County. We'll get right into the video. Take a look at this. This was about 6 hours ago, 1:30 in the morning Pacific time, as we watched hundreds upon hundreds of people from all around the planet cross illegally here into Jacumba, California, a major hotspot on the southern border. No resistance whatsoever. They simply walked past the Mexican military on their side of the border, then came through a gap in the wall and arrived here in the United States. Single adult men from all over the place, a lot of them from African and Asian countries. Met a lot of guys from Mauritania, that is in West Africa. That is a special interest country because of potential terror and national security concerns. You'll see in the video there was one single Border Patrol agent out here trying to corral these hundreds of migrants as they were coming in. The migrants were asking us, are we in America? Where's Border Patrol at? We had a chance to talk with some of them as they were coming in. Take a listen. Where are you guys from? What country?
Mauritania.
Mauritania, from Africa.
Yes.
Yeah? And why'd you guys come to the United States? What country?
Nepal.
Nepal.
Yeah.
All of you from Nepal?
Yeah. No English.
No English. What country?
Vietnam.
Vietnam. What country are you from?
Mauritania.
Mauritania?
Yeah.
Mauritanians?
Mauritania, yeah.
Where are you guys from? What country?
India.
This is America. See the red lights? That's Border Patrol. Straight.
You are Tajwana?
No. San Diego. See the lights?
San Diego. Okay, thank you.
And then take a look at this. I shot this video as the migrants were waiting for Border Patrol. A bunch of them went up to the border wall and started snapping photos and selfies, celebrating the fact that they had arrived in the United States, almost using the border wall kind of as a tourist attraction, almost it looked like, or some sort of background for their social media photos. And back out here live, you can see behind us another group has just crossed illegally. They're predominantly Colombians. I talked to them a few moments ago. They want to go to New York, primarily Brooklyn. You look on the ground right here, torn up travel documents from Indian nationals. And then you look over to our right over here, you got more people from all over the world waiting for Border Patrol to pick them.
So now this is what we got to look forward in California, back to we're the world's leader in illegals pouring across the freaking border. What else could possibly go wrong? I mean, this is the Twilight Zone times 10. Rod Serling couldn't have wrote this script. And of course, once Texas shut them off, where else are they going to come through? They either got to come through Arizona or California, with a little part of New Mexico. It's a repeat of the 80s and 90s, 70s, 2000s. I guess we have not learned the definition of insanity yet. Do not repeat the mistakes of the past and hope for a different result. We seem to keep doing this. It's freaking maddening. Beyond the peril. I'm sure we're going to hear more Bill Maloogian and Ben Berquam and Oscar Blue Ramirez reports. Instead of Texas, guess where they're coming through? Good old CA in the San Diego sector. Isn't this just lovely?
All right, Ray, we got about 30 seconds.
Wow, well, I'm hearing you today. We're making a little progress. We're crawling back
Do you have the intro, or do you
a
want me to
little
do
bit
it?
on this stuff.
Do you want me to do the intro again? Or?
No, I got it.
All right.
I'll see if it works. It seemed to play at the first, so I'll see if I can handle it on my end.
All right.
Oh man, what a!
All right, here we go. 10 seconds.
You got it. We'll
For
be
those
playing
who
by the
support
bell. Hopefully
America,
Victory will call in.
PatriotSwitch.com.
IE Newswire Daily is on the air.
The following is a paid program. Views and claims expressed are those of the program producer and are not endorsed by this station. Expressed are not necessarily those of the organization and the
There's Stuff Updates Live Guitar Music that comes in every Monday through Friday live at 5:30 on the Mighty Met 1490 AM, broadcasting all over the Inland Empire in the aforementioned AM band, joining our vast video audience in the Evil FB Network and Rumble. Check us out, subscribe, type in Newswire on Rumble. I think we're even irritating the YouTube folk for a little bit, but we shall see how this works. Man, we've had that. As we started the top of the show with, there was a fire in Paris, and unfortunately, sad news came across today. The oldest living guy, well, up until today, that won the Indianapolis 500, Parnelli Jones, passed away today, as released by his son PJ on that. He's one heck of a racer, one of the greatest of all times, could drive anything, dirt tracks, asphalt, road courses, off-road, won championships, 400. He won Riverside. He used to lead it every year. And then Gurney would wind up. Now my phone system is going nuts. As it is, let's see, of that, I thought I had Dr. Kelly in, but we shall see of that. But sad news on that contingent. Parnelli Jones dead at 90, had suffered a long time from Parkinson's disease. Rest in peace, PJ. Hopefully, Dr. Kelly will call back on that, and we shall see if it works this time of that. We'll see if it pops in on that. I got you, Dr. Kelly.
There you go.
Finally.
Tenacity is my middle name, Roy, so I just keep calling. I figure eventually it'll work.
It's been a wild 4 or 5 days. We finally got this thing, or this part of the system, work back up. I know the main subject of the day, or the past couple of days, has been the Fauci hearings. I got a couple clips rolled up, but I just want to get your first impressions of the 2 days of the F-word Fauci, who should be behind bars, in jail, in my opinion, and I think yours too. What was your take on the past couple of days of the Fauci testimony at Congress?
Well, here, the reality is Anthony Fauci defines Teflon. He's so smarmy and slick. This stuff just kind of rolls off of him. He bold-faced lies. He's been lying from the beginning. He's perjured himself so many times, I've lost track. I think that quite a few members of Congress did a good job holding his feet to the fire. Certainly Rand Paul has done that. Marjorie Taylor Greene did it. Quite a few others did it. But even with that said, here's a guy who has now thrown a couple of bones our way, Roy. Okay, now he acknowledges that turns out, masks weren't necessary, didn't really do anything. Okay, just a little concession. Turns out he now acknowledges social distancing was totally made up, just as I said it was from day one. But then he doubles down on other stuff, still blaming in 2024, still blaming the unvaccinated for unnecessary deaths of other people with COVID. So it's kind of a mixed bag. He will throw you an occasional bone, but he is as slippery as they come, and I guarantee he is not going to go down on this.
I hope you're wrong on that prediction. I mean, I'm hoping to see that guy in They want so bad. The other side wants so bad to put Trump in jail with the latest sham trial and all that. And I'm going to say over 50%. Mershon's going to put him in jail. I just have that gut feeling he's going to do it. The guy that starting with Anthony Fauci, of all of them, I think the guy you take Francis Collin or Dashik or everybody else and everything else, Fauci has to be by far, at least in my opinion, the worst one that run the COVID con. He was behind it. I think main thing he was doing, along with Dashik and Collins, they were trying to cover up that they were the ones that that had this gain of function research going on these viruses or whatever they were doing down in China to hide it. And from date when they saw this stuff break in late 19 or early 20, they were on a CYA mission to save their own rear ends, Dr. Kelly.
Without question. And let's face it, Anthony Fauci declared himself the de facto head of this entire debacle. He claimed he was science. He defined the science. And if you questioned anything he said, by definition, you were a science denier. He has lied up one side and down the other. And he's done it not just to CYA with regard to their involvement with gain of function. But the reality is, Roy, he is the highest paid. He was making more than $400,000 a year, the highest paid person in the U.S. government. He made millions, personally made millions off of patents on these vaccines. He has been, really on the receiving end of the taxpayer largesse for decades now, and he doesn't want to see it go. So this is a guy who got elevated to, deity status, and it's still happening in the courtroom. He's still, receiving the adulation of all of these libtards who are claiming, oh my gosh, what a brilliant job he did leading this thing. I don't know what alternate universe they are living in, but Anthony Fauci is responsible for absolute carnage, for the death and suffering of hundreds of millions of people.
This is on Representative Rich McCormick. He was he's of Georgia. He was questioning Lord Fauci there of this on the emails and all that other neat stuff. Let's start off with this. Maybe.
To live their lives so they'd feel pressured to get vaccinated. Could we run the audio clip on that, please?
You think can be done about it? I have to say that I don't see a big solution other than some sort of mandatory vaccination. I know federal officials don't like to use that term.
Once people feel empowered and protected legally, you are going to have schools, universities, and colleges are going to say, you want to come to this college, buddy? You're going to get vaccinated. Lady, you're going to get vaccinated.
Yeah.
Big corporations like Amazon and Facebook and all of those others are going to say, you want to work for us, you get vaccinated. And it's been proven that when you make it difficult for people in their lives, they lose their ideological bullshit and they get vaccinated.
I mean, how could... There is no more damning than that tape, and I don't know where the heck Representative McCormick got that. That sums up the whole COVID con right there. And what this had nothing to do with science. This had nothing to do with protecting your health. This had everything to do with about controlling you and stomping down your free spirit, Dr. Kelly.
Absolutely. And Roy, there are a few pieces of audio or videotape that will go down in history as particularly damning. You may recall that there was one that was leaked. I can't forget the guy's name in the Obama administration who stood up and with regard to Obamacare and said the American people were too stupid. That's what he called it. Said Americans are too stupid to have figured out what's actually in that bill. This is the same, really at the same level to me. It is a piece of audio tape that exposes just who Anthony Fauci is, that his entire goal was to make people miserable enough. This is the definition of totalitarianism. Make people so miserable that they will ultimately say, I'll do whatever you want as long as you make it stop. Just stop the pain, stop the suffering. That is the playbook that Anthony Fauci is reading from. And it's despicable, it's evil, and I wish he would end up being criminally prosecuted. I don't think it'll happen, but I wish it would because he certainly deserves it. This constitutes crimes against humanity.
If Trump gets elected and he doesn't go after that guy, I'll turn on Trump. I mean, this is impossible with this latest testimony and the Morans stuff, and they went through that and the whole thing of it. they're showing, and he's denying that he knew anything about. They were trying to avoid, people discovering what was going on, and they were trying tricky stuff to try to so people couldn't get in through Freedom of Information Act or anything of that, and all that. And he says, no, that didn't. That's all that stuff that's written down the written record. That's all lies. It never happened. I'm not aware of it. And it says, and it was directed, according to what I heard, it was directed by him. He was the one saying, hey, bury all this stuff. And like I said, it's all because they knew. He knew from the minute that virus got out of the Wuhan lab or wherever it started, he knew at that moment, him and Dasick and Collins knew at that moment their rear ends were in deep trouble. And again, they were in cover-up mode that makes Watergate or any conspiracy or anything going on look like tiddlywinks compared to what they did, Dr. Kelly.
Oh, I agree. And the bottom line is, Roy, we have the receipts. We have the emails. We have the email traffic. We have those communications that prove that they were doing it. That we know that Anthony Fauci, colluded with Collins and others, for example, to try to, disparage the people who wrote the Great Barrington Declaration, Jay Bhattacharya and Sunita Gupta and Martin Kulldorff, who penned the Great Barrington Declaration. They did a hit job on those people. We know they tried to cover up the lab leak and shut it down. They worked with social media companies to come up with a hit list of people who would be censored, who would be shut down, who would be kicked off, including yours truly. So we know we have the proof that they did this. So Anthony Fauci can stand up, bold-faced lie, which he's done over and over again. He said that, we were not involved in gain-of-function research, which is an absolute abject lie. We know that to be the case. And the question now is, will Congress hold him accountable? Will they bring charges? And will they expose the rest of the people who were involved in this? Anthony Fauci is certainly the kingpin, but he's not, he's by far not the only one.
100%. I mean, but again, this latest testimony with the emails, and especially, I can't see that there cannot be any question of any doubt. Anthony Fauci was directing this whole thing. I think he was buffaloing Trump. I think he was buffaloing a lot of people across a lot of FDA, ICC, or whatever alphabet soup organization you can. He was running that. I think that's a reason he got Birx in there, to put a nice female scarf, grandmotherly looking face standing next to him. How could you deny, or how could Dr. Birx would never lie to you? Just look at her. I think this whole thing they choreographed every piece of this for 2 years, in my opinion, Dr. Kelly.
Oh, there's no question, Roy. And Laura Birx, the scarf lady, she admitted it in her book that they buffaloed Trump. She said we couldn't tell him the truth. We had to tell him when we came up with the 2 weeks to flatten the curve BS. They did that because they knew if they told Trump the truth about their intentions, that he wouldn't go for it, because he's a business. She put this in her book. Because Trump was a businessman, he would understand the chilling effect that more than a 2-week lockdown would have on the economy, and he wouldn't go for it. So they lied to him. She puts that in her book. As far as I'm concerned, that's treason. When you lie to the person who you're supposed to be giving guidance to, and matters of national security, that's treasonous. I mean, this was an issue that impacted all Americans, and they lied, knowingly lied, in order to get their way.
100%. I mean, this has got to be in the top 3, and I'm saying probably the top, but there's probably some of you maybe coming other of government conspiracies, or just railroading the people. And who would have thought it would have come in the United States, so potentially the freest country in the history of the world? We've had the biggest totalitarian operation going on for 2 years, and still probably with the Biden regime and everything else that's going on in that, of that going on right under our noses. And sometimes I think, we can't, it seems like at times we can't do nothing to stop this, Dr. Kelly.
No, I agree, and I think that that's what happens when you over and over again, we hear Congress say that they're going to follow up on something, whether it's Hillary Clinton wiping her, her server, whether it's, people who testified and perjured themselves when, Kavanaugh was being, confirmed to the Supreme Court, whatever it is, and we never end up seeing that come to fruition. They never follow through. So I think that Americans, including me, are starting to get discouraged about the ability for us to ever see any accountability for these things. The best we can hope for at this point, or at least we need to make sure that we continue to expose the fraud, expose the corruption, because if nothing else, Roy, by what you are doing, what I am doing, what other people on open platforms are doing is trying to inform Americans so that they don't fall prey to this the next time, because there will be a next time. In fact, it's right around the corner. It's coming with bird flu. It's coming, which is going to be the disease X that's going to hit just in time for, the election. So the best we can hope for is to educate people so they don't fall for this crap again.
Yes. I mean, it's almost hard to wrap your head around what we have endured with this stuff, but with them trying to falsely imprison Trump, now with these hearings coming out, and I wouldn't put it, what Congress cannot prosecute anyone, and it's useless to send at this particular point a criminal referral to the Justice Department, which file that's going in right off the get-go. But I mean, at least they're setting up the deck chairs. People are saying, well, why aren't they doing this? Well, Congress can. The only thing they can do is they could set this up with subpoena testimony under oath to potentially get more charges on him when help, I should say, comes hopefully in 6 months or so to get to this stuff. But I think it is important that they do these hearings and they put Fauci under oath and the questions do come in, because pray tell, like I say, if we get a Matt Gaetz or somebody like that as Attorney General. And I think what they're doing to Trump, I just got the gut feeling on him too, because he's not running for re-election, and if he wins in 24, he's going to come loaded for bear, Dr. Kelly.
Boy, I sure hope so. From your lips to God's ears, Roy, because, you're right. It is not exactly tit for tat because, Trump was absolutely unfairly prosecuted. They still, as of today, nobody can tell you what the crime was he supposedly was convicted of, including all the people on the jury who did it. So it's absolutely preposterous. Going after Fauci is legitimate. This guy lied. He perjured himself. He lied over and over again. They did things that they unconstitutionally ripped people's civil liberties from them. They did things that were absolutely despicable, and people died. We're supposed to feel sorry for Anthony Fauci. He's there testifying, oh my gosh, I get threatened. I get death threats. My family gets death threats. Well, death threats? Well, other people got death, Anthony Fauci, as a result of what you did. People got death, okay? So the fact that I'm not suggesting that he should get death threats, but I sure as hell don't feel bad for him because he's getting threatened by people who found his actions, his behavior, and the results of what he did to be absolutely unconscionable.
And you mentioned something, I saw the clips of that too, and I thought, Of all the things that he said, I thought the part that took the most hubris on his part was him, like you said, trying to play the victim card. Like you said, he's made millions of dollars of that. Some people treat him like a rock star still and all this stuff. All this stuff he, of all people, is trying to play that he's the victim in this whole thing. That takes, like I say, that takes hubris on a scale maybe we've never seen before, Dr. Kelly.
Exactly. This guy has absolutely no contrition. He hasn't even said once, in retrospect, we really blew this. In retrospect, we harmed children in a way that was, unconscionable, and we can't let this happen again. Anything. not one bit of contrition, not one bit of self-insight, not one bit of, next time around, maybe we should, listen to some other people, or it wasn't right to shut down open discourse and open dialogue on social media because we didn't allow voices of reason and voices that turned out to be right to come through. Not once. And maybe if he did that, I might have a scintilla of sympathy for the guy, but right now it is like I would come after him with both barrels.
Got about a minute left. Anything we should look forward to, or maybe not forward to, but look out for coming up in the next week?
Well, a couple of things that didn't get much press. The FDA approved without any safety testing, any long-term safety studies of any sort. They just approved Moderna's mRNA vaccine for RSV. They did that under, the cloak of night. And this is what I've said from the beginning, unfortunately, I think was one of their goals with the COVID pandemic.
Did I leave?
So be on the lookout. No,
you just kind of broke up there a little bit.
No, I was saying, so be on the lookout for more mRNA solutions for everything under the sun.
You got it. Thanks for being on, Dr. Kelly. We'll do this again soon.
Sounds great. Thanks, Roy.
You got it. Dr. Kelly Victory saying it only as she can on that. Well, we finally took a little bit, but we finally got her on. At least that part of the stuff is working. I don't know. They get kicked off of Facebook and Rumble a little bit, but it looks like it stayed on YouTube. I don't know why I restarted it, but we'll see. And it looks like it's rolling in that. I don't know what's going on. Well, just the mere fact that we're broadcasting today is a minor miracle in of itself on that, but we shall see. Hopefully we'll get some more stuff resolved coming in here in the next couple of days and get this thing straightened back out like it should be forevermore. Man, something else. And yeah, Moderna's back after us, and who knows what Pfizer's got in store for us. That will be right back. As you know, I've been talking about standing up for our country, doing something. These big box stores stayed open while the little guys closed. Will our voices be heard? Does voting with our dollars work? PatriotSwitch.com gives patriots the power to walk away from the big box stores forever. Stop supporting the enemies of freedom now. That's why PatriotSwitch.com was created, for those who support America. PatriotSwitch.com. Is your car doing the hucklebuck and afraid you will be stuck? Well, head on down to Toyota of San Bernardino, Nissan of San Bernardino, Subaru of San Bernardino, and the San Bernardino Auto Mall, and catch a Camry, look ravishing in a Rogue, or be styling in a Subaru. Don't forget I-10 Toyota in Indio for those of you in the lower desert. You deserve to be the happiest human on the planet. So head on down to one of these 4 great dealerships for the car of your dreams. Spread the word. IE Newswire is now on every Monday through Friday, live at 5 p.m. on Rumble and KMET 1490 AM, 5:30 to 6 p.m. Join all the cool kids who want an eclectic look at the news without all the filters of the evil scoundrels of social media and the despicable dorks of the dominant press. Don't bumble and stumble. Subscribe to IE Newswire on Rumble and roll with the best hillbilly hoedown around. That's it. If you want to buy American, go to PatriotSwitch.com. If you need a new Toyota or Subaru, go to Wintercliff Cummings Great Dealerships at San Bernardino Auto Mall at the 10 and 215 freeways. Again, sad news today. Parnella Jones, up until today, the oldest living winner of the Indy 500 and one of the greatest racers of all time coming out of Southern California and the world, passed away today of 80 after a long bout with Parkinson's disease. Rest in peace. PJ, it's off to the Moreno Valley City Council here in a couple of minutes to deal with that worse fire than we started off the show with that Fred Benanuelos had us there in Paris. That was a nasty looking fire over there. Yeah, and then we got to get told by Fauci what a bunch of morons we are for not bowing down to him. And then we got Choi, the LA police chief, who's saying, you're delusional for wanting a safe community. Holy cow. At least Sheriff Chad was out there saying, Viva la Trump, vote for him. And I got to agree. I mean, it's a simple choice. From 17 to 20, do you want to live life as you did from 17 to 20? Or do you want to relive this train wreck for another 4 years as we have the past? Joe Biden's trying to do the immigration or saying this or come out with policies he could have done, that he reversed 3.5 years ago. Now he's trying to come halfway back and trying to make a ploy of that. Ain't going to work, Joe. People have had enough of your BS, as Anthony Fauci has said in the tapes of that. And I don't know. Hopefully we'll be back tomorrow. We should have Susan Shelley on. Maybe we'll have a report from the city council or what went down at the board of supervisors this morning. We'll get maybe a little bit more in depth into that. But there will always be something to cover in these very interesting times that we're living in. Hello today. Mandatory, you're back here in 22.5 hours live to hear the best darn show in the whole wide world. Until then, see ya!
The proceeding was a paid.
All right, Roy, take it easy. I'll talk to you Friday.
You got it.